Hello, my name is Mildred Talabi and I'm a career speaker, writer and blogger and the author of 7 Keys to a Winning CV, How to Create a CV that Gets Results. Now, I write a weekly careers blog about job hunting tips and techniques, which you can subscribe to for free on my website www.mildredtalabi.com, which is what you can see in the screen in front of you. You just have to click on the blog tab there. And on there, on the page, you will see on the right hand side Mildred's blog straight to your inbox. Now, if you're job seeking and you want tips on how to succeed in interviews, CV writing, cover letters, social media, job hunting, everything to do with careers, pop your details on the right hand side of the page here and you will get my blog straight to your inbox every week, free of charge. Okay, today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to show you how to do something that I get asked about all the time when I run CV makeover workshops or seminars. It's also something that my team and I come across on a regular basis through my CV writing service, which is CV Makeover Expert, which you can find at www.cvmakeoverexpert.com, and again it's on the screen in front of you now. I am of course talking about the layout of your CV. Now, you might be thinking, surely the layout of my CV is not as important as the content, is it? Well, I hate to disappoint you, my job seeking friend, but the truth is they are both equally important. In my book 7 Keys to a Winning CV, How to Create a CV that Gets Results, which is available right here on Amazon and all other good bookshops, I talk in more detail about just how important the layout is in helping you to get shortlisted for that interview. Now, my computer's running a bit slow today, so don't worry, we'll get there, and just keep on looking at the screen because we're getting to the juicy bit now. Because the good news is it's not difficult to create a good layout. In fact, it's actually quite simple and you can do it in under 10 minutes just by applying a few formatting tips and techniques, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so I'm going to switch the screen over to Word document where I've got here a bog standard CV that I get very often. This is your average CV that most people get, usually from a template from the internet. What we want is a CV that looks a lot less like this and a whole lot more like this. Now, you can see that this is a lot better to look at. It's a lot prettier on the eye, and the truth is that when you're in the job market today, you're competing with a lot of people. In fact, an average of about 70 people apply for every job vacancy that's going. So you want to make sure that your CV stands out. Now, today I want to show you a few simple ways you can do it. We're not going to recreate the CV that you've just seen on this other page here, because that will take a little bit longer than 10 minutes. But I'm going to show you what you can do within 10 minutes that would just dramatically transform your CV from something this plain and bland to something that will stand out in a pile of 70 CVs. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is, if you look right up here, you will see that this says Times New Roman. Now, in my book 7 Keys, I talk about how Times New Roman is the enemy of all fonts. Do not use it on your CV. It is awful and it makes your CV look outdated. So the first thing I'm going to do is highlight the font, and I'm going to go right here in the corner and pick a font that is a lot more modern, cleaner and fresher looking, and that's Century Gothic. Now, of course, you don't have to use Century Gothic. You can use other fonts that are similar to this, but I would definitely don't use Times New Roman and stay away from Arial if you can, because it's outdated as well. Now, I'm just going to reduce the font size by 1 point to 11, just because it just looks a little bit better when it's in a smaller font. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, and you can do on your CV just to make it look better, is decrease the margins ever so slightly. Now, don't do it too much that your CV falls off the edge, but just decrease the margins just a little bit, because you want your CV ideally on 2 pages. But more than that, you want it to look good on 2 pages. So we've just decreased the margins. I'm going to get rid of personal details at the top because it's not needed. But don't worry about the content for now, because we're just looking at the format and layout. Now, you want the top section of your CV to look a little bit different from the rest. You want it to stand out a bit. So what I'm going to do is make sure that your name, which is really, really important, that has to stand out. And we're going to highlight it, and we're going to select bold and make it a lot bigger than everything else on your CV. Now, you can either choose the default 28 on the font sizes, or I like to go a little bit bigger to 30. There we go. Nice and big already. Now, the details on the CV are made up, as I said, so don't worry about confidentiality or anything like that. So we're going to make this bold as we've just done, and we've made it size 30, and I also want to move it to the right hand side of the page just so it can stand out on its own. Yep. And while we're there, I'm going to be using a lot of keyboard shortcuts because I find it a lot quicker than using the mouse to move around. So pressing Shift and F3, I'm going to make this all caps because you want your CV to stand out. You also want your name to stand out. One way to do this is to make it all capital. There we go, Jane Doe, nice and clear. Now, this CV here, we're just going to pop the words address right there. And what we want to do is to make the text line up a bit more, because at the moment it's a little bit messy. So we're just going to make it a format consistent. I'm going to make the address, mobile, email, let's just make this bold. And then what you want to do is tab. Use the tab space on your keyboard just to move it along one tab. Mobile, one tab, email, one tab. Just so that everything lines up, so it's looking a bit nicer and straighter. Now, of course, it's very important that the rest of your CV lines up and it's looking nice and straight. So what we're going to do is highlight everything. Now I'm going to use the keyboard by pressing Ctrl Shift, and I'm going to click End. That takes me all the way to the end. But of course you can highlight it all. I want to highlight just these sections here, not the name. And we're going to justify it by clicking this button here. Now what justify does is lines up all the edges so the left side and the right side are perfectly aligned, and that's what you want your CV to do, because it looks better. You want your CV to look good. Already we've seen some improvements, but we can of course go a lot further, so let's go to the next level. Now, ideally it's a good idea to separate all the different sections that you have, so the personal statement, skills, work experience, and so on. And a simple way to do this is by using line formatting. So you just go to Insert, Shapes, and you select the line shape. Now sometimes it's a bit tricky to draw a straight line, so I'm going to try my best here. I like to do it all the way from one end of the page to the other end of the page. So here we have a roughly straight line, and I'll let go. Oh, it is a straight line, fantastic. Now that I've drawn the line, next thing I want to do is make this line a little bit bolder so it stands out a bit more and separates that section from the rest. So what I've just done there, I should have shown you, is right click the line. So make sure the line is selected, and you right click it and press Format Auto Shape. Now I've gone to the weight section and I'm going to increase that to 1.5 and press OK. There we go. Already that's looking better, isn't it? Now next thing I want to do is copy this line all the way across, and I've just highlighted it. Press Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste, and I'm going to take this and move it along. This is my keyboard is a little bit, has a mind of its own sometimes, my mouse. So I'm going to put a line after personal statement. I'm going to paste again. I'm going to put a line after skills. I'm going to paste again. In fact, I'm going to copy it from this line so I won't have to go to the top of the page. And I'm going to paste again, and I'm going to put a line after work experience. I'm going to paste again and put a line after education. So we just scroll down a little bit here, education. So all we've got less interest is interest and activities in the next page. Now I'm going to delete references because you do not need references on your CV. It's a waste of space and time. Okay, so now that we've put the line in, you can see it's looking better. The next thing we're going to do is get rid of any extra gaps that we have that we do not need. So for example, between work experience and September, there's a gap there. We don't need that gap. Now you want your different headings, your subheadings, to stand out a bit. One simple way to do it is to highlight it using Shift F3 on your keyboard, make it all caps. So we're going to do that for all of the headings. I'm racing against time here because I want to show you how to do this in under 10 minutes. So, but you can of course pause and rewind and all of that just to go at your own pace. So that's that done. Now next obvious styling thing we can see is that the gaps between the job sections, we've got Tesco London, we can tell that those gaps are not even and that they've been achieved by going space, 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 space on the keyboard. You do not want to do that. What you want to do is create perfectly aligned tabs, and you do this by simply clicking on the tab, inserting a tab here at the top where you'd like it to align to. So I've just put a tab there. You can see a little L sign here. So when I press the tab on my keyboard, it moves it to where I've got the L sign. Now that's a little bit too far off the state of the page, so I'm going to just drag it back a little bit. There we go, so that London's back on the same line. And I'm going to insert another tab because I want London to line up with the rest of the other London beneath it as well. So I'm going to insert another tab somewhere around this mark and press tab on my keyboard. There we go. Now I can move it up along a little bit further. Now what I'm going to do now is just align the rest of these. So this one underneath it, I can align it in exactly the same way by creating a tab. As you can see, it shows you where the line is, a tab that lines up to the one before it. So when we press tab on the keyboard, it goes to where the one before has gone. So it's nice and neat and not that messy job we had before. Same with London. There we go. So there we go. Already that looks better. Now one more thing to show you, because we're not trying to get this perfect for now, we just want it to look better. Now the bullet points here, as you can see, are right there at the beginning, but here they're a lot further in. We want them to be the same, so we want them to line up together. So we just select this one here and we click decrease indent at the top. So you see it moves it back one position. The same with the one below it, decrease indent, and it's all nice and straight. Very quickly, if we had more time, you can go through this in your own time and you can make sure that these tabs and the education section are also aligned the same as the employment section, so that everything is nice and neat. You can just put a little bit of bold here. Again, bold is a good way to separate things, to make it look better. And as we said, we can just tab. I'll show you how to do the first line just so you know that it can be done. So we just go to insert a tab here, we press London. Now London University lines up with Tesco Supermarket and WH Smith's, and that's what you want. And you can do the same for all the rest of it as well, and you can sort that out afterwards. So that is just generally a very quick way to make your CV, transform your CV from what it was before. And I'm just going to quickly bring it up on my desktop here. From what it was before, this is what we've got now, this is what it was before. So you're going to go from something like this, just in under 10 minutes I've transformed it into something that looks a lot better, which is this. Now with more time you can get it looking like this, but that's an advanced level, and if you would like that advanced level, let me know and I might just have to do another screencast. But for now, we've got a much better looking CV which will stand out in a pile of other boring, dull looking Times New Roman CVs. So there you have it. That's how easy it is to transform the layout of your CV in under 10 minutes. Now if that's been useful to you at all, you can of course subscribe to more job hunting tips and techniques at my website www.mildredtalabi.com, which I showed you earlier.